Hello, I'm David with IFS Coatings, and today we're going to do a short video on the application of metallics. Metallics are a little bit different than a standard type finish in the fact that they have a clear resin and a metallic pigment. And with that, they have some special application characteristics that you want to be sure that you work with when you're applying these particular products. And now we're going to spray a couple of panels so we can show you a little bit about the application. On these new control units, they usually come with factory settings. In this particular case, you've got one that is dedicated for metallics. Then when you push that particular setting, it will preset these values into the unit, and they'll always go back to the same. So when you get started, it's not a bad idea to start with these factory settings to see how well the product looks after it's been finished. It's also a good idea to keep records on these, so if you go back and have to recoat parts or have to do extra parts, you've already got that information ready. The top 10 tips for applying metallics. Number one is preparing the substrate. You want to be sure that you have a good, clean product to spray over, because stains or any surface defects can actually show through because you have a clear resin followed by a metallic pigment, and the hide is not as good as some of the other just regular single coat finishes. You always want to be sure that you have a good ground, because when you apply metallics, you don't want to have problems with back ionization and some of the other issues that you can have. So be sure you have a good ground, check it, make sure there's an earthen ground to your parts, and if you're spraying with racks or different types of hanging devices, be sure that they're well grounded. Fluidizing is also another one. You want to be sure that you're not geysering through the fluidized hopper, which brings up another point. If you are going to apply metallics, we recommend that you do fluidize these products. If you don't, you can run into problems with color shifts. In the case of a box feeder, sometimes the metallics can actually settle to the bottom. If they do, you can start having color shifts. So you want to make sure that you have a good fluidized metallic when you're applying these. You want to be sure to check the equipment to make sure that it's free of any type of contamination or different type resin materials that you could be spraying. It's not a bad idea in some cases to have dedicated equipment and hoses to make sure that you have a clean set of equipment to apply these. Before you apply the products, you want to be sure that that the metallic does not require a clear coat, because if it does, you don't want to overbake the first coat, because if you do, you may run into problems with intercoat adhesion. You can always go back to the TDS and it will give you all the information on the particular product as far as the cure schedule, which can be 10 at 400 or 10 at 340, depending on what the chemistry of the product is. If you need to apply that top coat, just please be sure that you don't overbake the first coat, because if you do that, you could definitely run into problems with intercoat adhesion. In summary, KVs, you want to kind of set up a process so when you run the KVs or you set up the KVs, the microamps, and the powder settings, that you always use basically the same settings as you run these products. The gun to part distance is very important. You want to kind of stay in that 6 to 8, 8 to 10, depending on what kind of application area that you have. You want to be careful as far as the gun speed as you're spraying the products. All of these items are very important when applying metallics because they are a little bit different. You want to be sure that you got the process correct and you're always doing these products in the same manner and motions that you used in the past. Now that the product has gone through the cure cycle, We can remove it from the oven. And as you can see, we have a finished product. IFS has got a large selection of metallic finishes, so please check out our color card.